What's up everyone? Today I'll be showing you how you can build a simple programming joke generator that looks like a tweet. For this project, we'll be using only HTML, CSS, and also JavaScript to fetch jokes dynamically that is related to programming. My name is Andrew Fung, and my job today is to help you learn programming through building interesting projects like this one. So the main idea for this project is that on social media, we always see a lot of tweets that features a celebrity's opinion on a certain issue. So I thought, why not just do it for fun and create a joke template for us programmers that we can relate to. So that's the reason why I built this joke generator. Let me show you what it does. So you can see that here's the joke. So what is the most used language in programming? You may thought it's JavaScript, Python, something like that, but it's actually file language. So whenever we click Get New Joke, another joke will be dynamically fetched and update the content of the tweet. The sizing of the tweets and the margins will also automatically update based on the joke content. So whenever we change to a shorter version of a joke, then you can see the box becomes smaller. And you can see that the date and time stamps also update itself. So currently it's now 20 of August and 1:21 p.m. So this is actually a very simple and interesting project, and I thought it might be beneficial for you guys to learn something about the HTML and how we fetches the jokes dynamically and update the content of a div inside an HTML element. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we should do is to make sure that we have these four files. So a main HTML file, a script.js file. As you can see, these two files are both blank. And for the style.css, I won't be going too much into details for the styling and the template components, because that may take a while for me to explain all the different components and the styling aspects of this project. And the last thing is the Twitter icon of your choice. So I chose this one as my YouTube icon. So let's go ahead and create a empty boilerplate HTML code. So we can just type exclamation mark and enter. So that will generate a boilerplate HTML. And we can change the title to be Twitter joke generator. Okay, so let's link our script.js to this HTML file to be able to use the JavaScript inside. So we can do script, and then set the source to be script.js. Okay. We also need to link the style sheet and an external style sheet to be able to use the Twitter icon. So let's do link. Rel will be style sheet, and the href will be style.css. Okay, and the type will be simply text/css. And let's close this. And we need another one, which is another link, this link, for us to use the Twitter icon in font awesome. So now we'll be creating the tweet template. So now we can do a tweet template here. Let's create a div called tweet container. We can do dot tweet container, enter, and they will automatically change the class to be tweet container. And inside tweet container, we need a title, title, and that will have a user with an image. So the image, we can set the source to be icon PNG here, so the icon.png, and alternate text to be tweet. So the alternate text is for whenever we can load this image for some reason, then the image will be shown as the letters tweet. Okay, so we need another div, which is info, to show the information of the user, which is the display name of the user and also the username, so the tag inside Twitter. Oh wait, I think it shouldn't be tag. It should be a Twitter handle, as they call it. So in Instagram they call it a tag. So we can have an h4 class. We can do h4, and then the class will be name, and that will be for me is Andrew Fung. And we also need a paragraph tag for the Twitter handle. So it's P for paragraph tag and dot for the Twitter handle. Enter, and that will be at Andrew Fung Kin Ho. Okay. And the next component we need is a Twitter icon. So outside of the user, we need an icon which is here. So we can do tweet icon. Use Twitter's icon, which is we can do I, and then set the class to be fa Twitter, and set the size to be 2x. So the only reason we can use the Twitter icon is because we have imported the external style sheet here. So if we comment this out, we won't be able to see the Twitter icon. So the next container is outside of title. So we need a tweet template. So .tweet, and then a paragraph tag, which is with the ID of joke setup tags. So just now we see this part of the joke is called a setup. So maybe that's a question or an easy prompt, and the joke will be something unexpected or the answer to this question. So this will be called the setup tags. So instead of using a class, we can use an ID. So for ID, we can do hashtag joke set up tags, and that will automatically generate an ID for us. So let's create a dummy joke, which is what is the most used language in programming? And then we need another paragraph tag for this part. So the joke, the actual review, or the punchline. So we can just hold Option Shift downwards to copy the whole line. And instead of joke setup text, we can change it to joke punchline text, and that will be file language. Hopefully I won't get demonetized by that. And that's in between the two tags, paragraph tags, we can do a simple line break to separate the two. So it's just BR. And the next part will be the date and time, which is shown here. So this line will be the next, and we will call this to be dot time and date. So that will have a paragraph tag which has the ID of date time. So let's create some dummy tags. 3:30 p.m. set a space, and then create a dot here, which is an MI, and then the date will be August, now it's 20, and then 2021. The next will be the span for this, Twitter for iPhone or Twitter for app. So like we can do span, and this will be Twitter for iPhone. So the last part will be the bottom section, which is the 4 icons. So to save time, I will just directly copy and paste here. So as you can see, the last part is called the bottom section, and will contain 4 icons, which are the SVGs. So as you can see, we have 4 SVG here that belongs to comment, retweet, like, and also share. So that will be a simple SVG combination inside here. So we have finished the tweet template. Let's hit save and see how it looks like now. Let's go ahead and refresh. And as you can see, the background is still white, but the entire Twitter template is almost complete. We just need another get new joke button here to generate new joke and update everything. So to override the background color of the body, we can just do a shortcut, which is style. Set the background color to be hashtag 1DA1F2, which is the official color of Twitter. So it matches this color. Okay, so let's hit save, and let's now go ahead and create another components, which is the get new joke button. So now we can just go down here and create a new div core center, because we want our button to be centered under the tweet template. So what we can do now is to create a button with a class which is called the joke button. Okay, so the type will be a button, and the class will be joke button, and then we can just do a simple on click. So whenever we click this button, a certain action get executed. So we can just call this function to be get new joke function. So we will need to define it inside script.js. And let's call this button to be get new joke, and then save this. So let's see how it looks like now. So we finished the template. So whenever we click this one, it doesn't do anything, because when we hold Command Option I to see the developer tools, we can see that uncaught reference error, because the get new joke function is not defined. So we'll now go ahead and define this in script.js. So let's copy this, and let's go to script.js and start a function called get new joke. And whenever we click it, we can first go ahead and console.log. So the console is here. You can usually it shows the element first, and we can press console to see to get some output and feedback from the web application. So we can do yeet. Let it save. We can refresh this page, and then we press get new joke, and then it types yeet to the console. So this joke button is now bounded to this function. So now we'll go ahead and delete this, and then this function get new joke will be sending a get request to the joke API. So I can now go ahead and show you what does the joke API look like. So we can go to Chrome here. I have the GitHub repository courtesy of David Katz. He has created an official joke API for some random jokes, and we can also specify some programming jokes. So for example, we press this link, official joke API / programming / 10. It will give us 10 programming jokes, random jokes. So all we need is just one. So we can just do official joke API programming and random. So this link will be what we'll be looking for, and sending a GET request from here to fetch the setup of the joke and also the punchline. So we won't be needing the ID and also the type, because we're for sure knowing that this Twitter template is for programming jokes only. Okay, so let's copy this link and let's go back here, and we can do a simple fetch request, and let's do const request equals new request, and that will take in a URL, which is the one that we just copied. So we need a double quote, semicolon, and then fetch request. So that will now fire up a request to this link, and then we can now see the response, and that will return a JSON file here, res.json, and then whenever the results turn into JSON, we can just print the result out. So arrow function, and then console.log result to see what it looks like in the console. So let's hit save, and let's go to refresh this, and let's get new joke. So we can see the issue here is it's not defined. We haven't returned this here, so let's do return. So we need to return this here to be able to pass it on to the then function. So let's hit save, and then let's go ahead and refresh this, get a new joke, and we see a JSON object here, and inside 0 we can see ID, punchline, setup, and also type inside this object. So that's it. So the setup is a list, or we call an array. Hip 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 array. Classic. Okay, so that will successfully fetches the joke, and what we need is now to parse the joke. So we can see the joke is inside 0. So let's do 0 and then dot setup. And let's do this the same for punchline. And then let's just save. Okay, we get the same joke. And yeah, it works. And now we will need to actually go ahead and change the div elements on the UI. So as you can see, whenever we press the get new joke button, it doesn't update the time and date now. So now we need to, whenever we press this button, we need to fetch the joke and also the setup and also the punchline and put it inside this div called the joke setup text and also joke punchline text. So how do we do that? We can do that by first getting the datetime, which is variable datetime equals get datetime. Get datetime. Error returns us with the current date and time. So now we can define this function down here. Function get datetime. First, we need the date format. So get correct date format. So you can actually import some JavaScript libraries to do that, and now I'll just do it manually just for time's sake. So months equals, just copy and paste this line. So we have all the months, and now we can do a variable, set a variable today to be new date. So date is a data type inside a JavaScript, and the variable date is called months. It's to be set the months to be today dot get month plus today dot get date plus comma space plus today dot get full year. Because this format is based on the month, the date, and also the year. So month, date, and full year. Okay, so that will take care of the date format. And now we will get the correct timestamp format. So we will need the hours, the minutes, and also the whether it's PM or AM. So variable hours equals today dot get hours. Okay, and variable minutes will be today dot get minutes. And variable AM PM, so whether it's AM or PM, it's hours, whether it's larger or equals to 12. If it's then it's PM. If it's not, then it will be AM. Comma. So if it's 13, then it's 1 PM. Okay, that's very simple logic. Hours equals hours modulus 12. And then hours equals hours if it's not, then it's 12, because the hour zero should be 12. Okay, and the minutes equals minutes if it's smaller than 10, then it's 0 plus minute. So if it's 1 o'clock 109, then it's 09 instead of just 9, so it's minutes. If it's not, then it's just minutes. Okay, so variable time equals this would be first the hours, the minutes, and then the AM PM. So we'll need an hours plus colon minutes plus space plus AM PM. So let's console.log the date and also the time to make sure, and then let's just return both of them. So return time and date. So we will get the date and time here, and then inside let's see how we can change the div elements on the UI. Hit save and then refresh, press get new joke. We can see the August 20. Oh, I guess we missed a space here. Small tiny error here. Should be space. Yep. And So now the only thing left now is to change the div elements on the UI. So we got the time and got the date, and also we got the setup and punchline. So the last thing we should do is to just update both of them. And this won't be the tricky part, which is first we can do a document dot get element by ID. So the reason why I do ID here, the jokes for this joke setup text and also the punchline text, is instead of a class, is because these two elements will be unique inside the HTML file. So we can just simply do a simple search, joke setup text, and then we can search it. We can then do dot inner HTML and change it to be result 0, set this one here. Okay, and the same goes to the punchline. Punchline, okay, and this will be punchline text. And the last thing we should do is to change this line, which is the date time. So let's copy and paste this one. Copy and paste here. Okay, so same as before, we can do document get element by ID, and this time will be date time, and then dot inner HTML. We can change the whole thing. We will be replacing the entire inner HTML with the apostrophe, and for the date and time we have this, so we can just do curly braces, delete this to be date time, and the first, I believe the first element will be time, and let's do a $sign here. Let's copy this and replace this to be $sign date time with the second item, which is the date. And let's close this off. And the span for Twitter for iPhone is still the same, so nothing has to be changed for this one. So we can do a semicolon here to end this, and this should be done. Let's hit save and go on to refresh this, get a new joke, and that will take care of the date time to 7:00 p.m. and now it's August 20. So that works. Let's close this off, do it full screen, and get some new jokes. So how many programmers does it take to change the light bulb? None, because that's a hardware problem instead of a software problem. Okay, so that's it for me today. I hope you guys have learned something new about the HTML, the script, JavaScript, and also some of the styling. So I apologize for not explaining some of the styling because that may take a long while. And you can actually build some of the simple user interface here. So a better extension for you guys or for me is to actually build a Twitter login. So whenever we get some new jokes and whenever the user is logged in, it will automatically fetch the icon, the username, and also the Twitter handle for this user. So instead of having to hard code this inside the HTML for the username and also the Twitter handle, we can dynamically fetch this. And other things, you can like make these buttons more interactive, and maybe you can do something else for Instagram, for LinkedIn, for Facebook as well. Let's see if you guys want to see a part 2. All the source code will be listed inside the description, and I will also leave a link for this David Katz for building this awesome official joke API that is free for me to call. And that's it for me. Hope you guys learned something new today. See you guys in the next video. Bye guys.